us fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Here are the starting lineups for the series finale between the Red Sox and the Texas Rangers. For Boston, Wade Boggs leads off at third base. Danny Heath is batting second in right field. Ellis Burks in center field. Mike Greenwell batting cleanup in left field. Jim Rice is the DH. Nick Osaski at first base. Rich Gedman is the catcher. Jody Reed is at shortstop batting eighth. And Ed Romero is the second baseman batting ninth, with Roger Clemens on the mound for Boston. For the Texas Rangers, Cecil Espy leads off in center field. Scott Fletcher at shortstop. Rafael Palmeiro at first base. Ruben Sierra batting cleanup in right field. Julio Franco at second base. Gino Petralli is the catcher. Rick Leach in left field. Steve Buechele at third base. And Jeff Stone is the designated hitter batting ninth. The umpires for this afternoon's ball game. Steve Palermo is calling the balls and strikes. Gerwood Merrill at first base. Don Denkinger at second and Larry McCoy at third. And on the mound for Texas, he's 42 years old and 4 days older than Vice President Dan Quayle, Nolan Ryan.
A record of 2 wins and a loss. That last win coming from him in a near no-hit bid last Sunday in Toronto, when 8 1/3 before Nelson Liriano tripled for the only hit of that ball game. Matter of fact, 2 of his last 3 starts, Nolan Ryan has been very near his 6th career no-hitter. He is working on a full week's rest, as I mentioned, working last Sunday. And certainly when you think about Ryan, you think about strikeouts. You also think about base on balls. And I'll mention very early in this ball game, I wouldn't be surprised to see a whole load of strikeouts, not only because of the 2 pitches, but the fact that they have allowed people to sit in the straightaway center field section here today. And talking to Charlie Huff, who of course sees this ballpark on a regular basis in afternoon games, he says it's nasty when those people sit there. Red Sox hitters were complaining about it last night, even against the softer tossing Charlie Huff. So that should help both these pitchers a bit.
Wade Boggs steps in, and we are set to go. Ryan against Clemens. Ryan's first pitch is inside and low for ball 1. 80 degrees at game time. Boggs is hitting .300 with 6 runs batted in. That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. Boggs, Heath, and Burks against Ryan in the first.
One thing you will keep in mind, of course, the Red Sox lineup has struck out the fewest number of times of anybody in the American League, just 88 strikeouts thus far.
And Ryan has fallen behind Boggs, 3 balls and no strikes. And Boggs draws a walk on 4 pitches, leading off the ball game.
Second, number 29, right fielder Danny Heath.
Danny Heath is in right field, getting a start against Ryan today. Danny's hitting .250 with 1 run batted in. Joe Morgan felt that Dwight Evans could use a day off, and Evans is 5 for 33 lifetime against Ryan. So Heath is in there against Nolan Ryan. Five balls in a row to start the ball game. Danny Heath, part of a Nolan Ryan milestone. Danny was Nolan Ryan's 4,000th strikeout victim while he was playing for the New York Mets on July 11th of 1985. Ryan, of course, with the Astros at the time. Ryan hasn't thrown a strike yet. And he did there. Heath fouled it off the fist into the third base seats. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Ryan had a lot of problems with the breaking ball, getting it over in the early part of his career. And then when he went from the Mets to the Angels, the last couple of years he worked with the California Angels, he got a curveball that could get over the plate on a consistent basis. And that's when all those years with those big strikeout numbers came along. Just about unhittable when he does that. He has both of them getting over.
Bounce to second. Double play ball. Franco to Fletcher on the first. Not in time. Heath legged it down the line to reach safely by way of the fielder's choice. It was a close play at first. Boggs erased at second. 4-6 for the first out of the ball game.
Looks like the middle infielders handled this ball just about as nicely as they could. However, the throw from Fletcher didn't seem to have a lot of extra on it. See where he has to go outside. He's taken a little bit of his momentum away. Very close play at first. A little hard to even tell there if Durwood Merrill had the call right. Certainly a very close one.
So Heath's at first with 1 out now for Ellis Burks, the hero of last night's ball game. He had 2 home runs. He now has 4 for the year. 14 runs batted in and an average of 287. Ryan's in with a strike.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. When you see that kind of a breaking ball that he gets over the plate, which one are you going to hit? You don't have much of a chance at the fastball as it is. You've got no chance of hitting the fastball trying to hit that one.
Oh! Off the helmet. And fortunately, it appears that Ellis Burks is okay. He certainly is stunned, but he remains on his feet. Ryan in almost all the way down to the home plate area to check on Ellis Burks. Ryan told some Red Sox beat writers earlier in the week that one of the most vivid memories he has of pitching against the Red Sox is beating Doug Griffin.
Doug Griffin. I thought he killed him. I thought he killed him. Doug Griffin's ear immediately it just almost exploded. And Doug Griffin was what hit. He didn't hit Griffin on purpose by any stretch of your imagination, but I remember that vividly. Ellis Burks can thank the game of baseball for employing or enforcing that rule that requires hitters to wear an ear flap that came into the into baseball, Major League Baseball, around 1973 and 74, because I think that's where the ball hit Ellis Burke, was right on the ear flap, where ordinarily there would have been no protection there.
Ellis still hunched over. Charlie Moss, Joe Morgan, and Jim Rice all right there. And Nolan Ryan waits on the mound.
You know, the way Ellis reacted to that ball, now this may bring up a point about this background here, because Ellis didn't make any great move to get out of the way of that. Whether he didn't pick the pitch up out of Ryan's hand or not, I don't know. But with the velocity which Ryan throws, you don't have a lot of time to pick up the fastball anyway.
It appears as though he's going to leave the ball game. He will, as Randy Kutcher will come on to pinch run for Ellis Burks. And Ellis will head to the clubhouse along with Charlie Moss.
Attention, please, for the Red Sox, number 5, Randy Kutcher, running.
Like that ball could hit right in the ventilation hole in that flap on the helmet.
For the Red Sox, number 39.
Ellis never went down right there. It appeared that it didn't even phase him a bit. And then after a couple of seconds, he went to his hands on his knees. He remains in the dugout alongside Marty Barrett. And Randy Kutcher is on to run. First and second with 1 out, and Mike Greenwell fouls that away. Greenwell hitless in the series. His average down to .303, 4 home runs, 12 driven in. What does that do now to the rest of the hitters who follow? That has to,
you bet,
have you on your heels just a bit.
In the back of everybody's mind.
Two on with 1 out in the top of the first. No score. The 1-strike pitch to Greenwell fouled out of play down the third baseline. And it's quickly 0-2. Ellis Burks coming off one of the best games of his career last night when he was 3 for 5 with 2 home runs and 4 runs batted in, his 3rd career 2-run homer game, and he tied a career high with 10 total bases. He'll be a spectator for the rest of the afternoon. Look out, that's inside. A ball and 2 strikes. Ryan's second in the American League in strikeouts right now. He is 38. Mark Langston of Seattle is 39, but bear in mind Langston pitched last night. Clemens is 3rd with 34, so both Ryan and Clemens could pass Langston today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Opposing hitters have hit just 170 against Ryan this year. That just missed, low and away, and it's a full count with 1 out. At 170 opponent's batting average, 3rd best in the American League. Kirk McCaskill of California leads the league. The opponents are hitting just 167 against him. Mike Moore of Oakland is 2nd at 168, and it's Ryan at 170. Clemens is also in the top 10. He's 7th at 201. Boggs at 2nd. Check that. Heath at 2nd. Kutcher at 1st with 1 out. See if they're on the move. They are not with a 3-2 pitch. Rolled slowly towards 2nd. Franco did not put the tag on Kutcher. He did make the play on Greenwell at 1st for the 2nd out of the inning. Greenwell now 0 for 11 in the series. The runners move up. Heath's at 3rd. Kutcher is at 2nd with 2 outs in the top of the 1st.
Gives a little bit of an idea how Greenwell has been struggling. 3-2 count from a power pitcher. You know you're going to get the fastball, and Ryan still gets it in on Greenwell. Right there, Franco tried to put the move on Kutcher. Kutcher a little too quick for him. Got right by the infielder making the charge, and they have to take Greenwell.
And the batter is Jim Rice. On the outside corner with the fastball. Strike 1 to Rice. He checks in at 301. 3 homers, 16 runs batted in. Rice has hit safely in 19 of the 20 ball games he has started this year. Same spot. Virtually an unhittable pitch.
You can't hit the pitch if he tells you he's going to throw it there. About half that baseball has split the outside corner. That's how little of the pitch is on the play. At about 93. As a guess, maybe 94.
Sounded fast.
Sounded about 103, didn't it?
The 0-2 pitch sails away from Petralli. Here comes Heath. He scores, and the Red Sox have a 1-0 lead.
Well, there's the control that I spoke of in the opening there. It certainly has cost Ryan here in the very first inning, the walk. Then, of course, the hit batsman, and now the wild pitch. And the Red Sox get on the board first. Got Rice in a hole, deep hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Petralli just no shift on his part to try to get to that ball, to backhand it, knock it down, anything. Right on by him to the backstop, Heath to the plate.
So the Red Sox with a run here in the first without a hit. Kutcher's at 3rd now with 2 outs. Rice sends it deep to left field, back to the wall, and that ball is caught. Rick Leach with the catch up against the wall. The breeze blowing in a bit from left field, and that helped to hold the ball up. But the Red Sox draw first blood off Nolan Ryan in the first. They score a run, and after half an inning,
hit by Nolan Ryan. The fact that Ellis didn't go to the ground at all, which tells me maybe that all he's going to come out of this with is certainly a headache and maybe a little bit of a stiff neck, and hopefully nothing more than that. And you're talking maybe 1 or 2 ball games till he kind of gets the wobbleness out of his legs and the cobwebs out of his head. Roger Clemens all set to go. He'll be making his 6th start of the year this afternoon. 3 wins and no losses. He's never been defeated by the Texas Rangers. 4-0 against them in 8 career starts. Sean gave you the numbers as far as the earned run average on Clemens concerned. 11 base on balls for the right-hander. And, of course, the strikeout march now continues with an addition with Ryan over here. It's been Langston and Clemens the last couple of years. Now it's going to be Ryan, Langston, and Clemens, it looks like. The Texas Ranger Ball Club, as opposed to the Red Sox 88 strikeouts on the year, they have a team total now of 138. And as I mentioned, much more control for Roger Clemens than Nolan Ryan.
Texas Rangers trail 1-0 as they come to bat. Cecil Espy leads off. He's hitting .276 with 6 runs batted in. A much better hitter thus far this year from the left side of the plate, aside from which he'll bat against Roger Clemens. Espy a .333 hitter left-handed, as opposed to .148 from the right. Espy, Fletcher, and Palmeiro against Clemens in the first. And Clemens' first pitch is high for ball 1. Saski's a step behind the bag at first. Boggs just a bit in front of the bag at third. Realizing that a bunt from Espy is certainly a possibility. That's high again. 2 balls and no strikes. There's Boggs just a little bit in front of the bag. Clemens with the 4th best earned run average in the American League at 1.89, behind Kirk McCaskill, Jeff Ballard, and Chris Bosio. He gets the high strike there. That appeared to be ball 3, but Steve Palermo says it's strike 1, 2 balls and a strike.
If Clemens is allowed to get that call today, or if he gets the call today, then it should make him a little bit tougher. He hasn't had many plate umpires that's given him that pitch this year, and this crew, one of them, as they opened the season with Roger down in Baltimore, Don Dinginger behind the plate.
Well, both sides have complained about the home plate umpiring in the last 2 ball games. The 2-1 pitch out of play down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Got to concentrate on these 2 big right-handers' deliveries right from the first part of the ball game. The similarities you'll see with all the leg drives. Those power pitchers come up with that kind of power.
2-2 pitch. That sailed high and away as Clemens appeared to be trying to put something extra on it. And it's a full count from leadoff man Cecil Espy. Red Sox scored 1 run without a hit in the top of the inning. Strike 3. Called 3rd strike. And Clemens with a strong start as he strikes out Espy for the first out of the ball game.
How about this? Goes to the breaking ball on the 3-2 to get that called 3rd strike. Nothing Espy could do there. He's all set up for that heater. And getting the express, got the local.
Here's Scott Fletcher. He's at .282 with 9 runs batted in. Foul tipped it into the mid of Gedman for a strike. Fletcher was the last batter of last night's ball game. He came up as the potential tying run for the Rangers with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, but Lee Smith blew him away to preserve the Red Sox 8-5 victory. Texas won the first game of this series 7-6. That's high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Clemens has won his last 3 starts. Last time he won more than 3 straight starts was a 5-0 mark over 7 starts from June 29th to July 30th of last season. He's in with strike 2 to Fletcher, a ball and 2 strikes. Fletcher had a 5-game hit streak snapped last night. And he clings to life at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fletcher's really been struggling. His average is .178 over his last 11 games. His overall batting average has gone from .424 down to its current .282. In the air to right center field. Danny Heath and Randy Kutcher, and it's Heath making the catch, but not without an anxious moment or two, as he was calling for it all the way, and apparently Randy Kutcher couldn't hear him. The ball kept slicing toward right, and by the time he caught it, it was almost in straightaway right field, but Randy Kutcher was all the way over there.
Like to have your center fielder takes charge, but he's taking charge of too much territory out there. You're right, it will be hard for anybody to hear a teammate in this ballpark today. They banged it out again, wall to wall here with people.
Here's Rafael Palmeiro hitting .313. And he takes the Clemens fastball outside for ball one. Palmeiro's been pesky throughout this series. He has 2 home runs, 14 runs batted in for the year. Look out. Well, if the Red Sox hitters are going to be on their toes, the Rangers hitters will be too.
Both these pitchers throw a lot of high fastballs. Both these pitchers know how important it is to pitch up and in. So I wouldn't be surprised you wouldn't see more of those before this day's over. Not necessarily on purpose. Just when you throw that hard, once in a while it can get away from you up there.
Palmeiro's hit safely in his last 5 ball games and in 12 of his last 14. That's ball 4. That time Clemens did not get the high strike call. And the Rangers have their first base runner as Palmeiro walks with 2 outs in the first. Roger Clemens and the Red Sox lead 1-0. Ruben Sierra is hitting .329, 4 home runs, 19 runs batted in. He is hitless in this series. He's hitless in his last 10 at-bats. But he still remains popular here in the Metroplex. That didn't miss by much. Ball 1.
Roger, a little puzzle now as to a couple of those high fastballs that he got the calls on earlier to Espy. It seemed like that one not in the same area and didn't get the call. Lower his sights just a bit, but Clemens can't do that. Then he gets just above belt buckle high, and that's where his fastball doesn't really jump. Got to get a bit higher.
Down the right field line off the end of the bat, and Heath makes the catch in fair territory for the final out of the inning. After 1 here at Arlington Stadium, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Rangers nothing. In the season 12 time. He is without a strikeout through 1 inning here today, and he faces a 1-0 deficit as he goes to work against Nick Osaski in the 2nd inning. Strike 1 to Osaski. He's hitting .293, 4 home runs, 13 driven in. He'll be followed by Rich Gedman and Jody Reed. Breaking ball.
What the breaking ball does to the right-hand hitter, you'll notice Osaski's back kind of straighten up when he sees that right there.
A ball and 2 strikes. We talked about what it does to the hitters to see somebody get beaned in the 1st inning, but for a guy like Nolan Ryan, he's not up there trying to hit anybody in the head. I wonder if it rattles him for a length of time. Osaski fought it off and popped it up near the Ranger dugout. Palmeiro and Petrali, and they can't get it. It's just off the edge of the roof of the Ranger dugout.
Sean, I'm sure at an early part of Ryan's career, it probably did bother him to hit someone like that. This ball hits right on the lip of the roof. Quickly shoots back toward their territory. Somehow that ball got between Petrali and Palmeiro. I don't know how he did it.
Of course, Osaski more familiar than most of the Red Sox, as he's been in the National League facing Ryan for the last several years. Check swing. They appeal, but Derwood Merrill says it is not a swing, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It may still have a little bit of an effect on Ryan.
strike 3. Had a little sinking motion on it. Nick Sassy couldn't get it. First strikeout for Nolan Ryan and 1 out in the second.
Different type fastball for Nolan Ryan. That may be his changeup, to be honest with you. His changeup is about 86 to 87, so it's a little hard to determine whether it is his changeup. With that movement on it, I would say it's got a good chance of being some sort of changeup.
Rich Gedman getting his first start of the series, and he takes ball 1 outside. Gedman is hitting 151. 2 homers and 5 runs driven in. In the air to right center field and playable for Espy. 2 outs. Hitters might not be the only one having trouble seeing the ball here, as Ruben Sierra was frozen in right field. Didn't look like he ever saw it off the bat.
Shortstop, Jody Reed.
So quickly, 2 down for Boston in the second. The Red Sox lead 1-0. They scored a run without a hit in the first. And it's Jody Reed at 210 with 3 runs driven in. Jody struggling with just 4 hits in his last 24 at bats, a 167 clip. And he takes ball 1 high. To Jody Reed. Last time the Red Sox faced Nolan Ryan was on July 9th of 1979 at California. Ryan shut them out on 6 hits and 12 strikeouts. He beat Mike Torres. Look out. Under the chin. 3 balls, no strikes.
Running fastball this time, hard and up and in. That's throwing radio balls. Hear him, you don't see him. He's done that his whole career, though. Nothing new for him.
3-1 pitch. Bounce to short. Fletcher from the hole. High throw, and Reed is safe. It was a long throw for Fletcher, and the throw was too high for Palmeiro, who had to leap off the bag to field it. And Jody Reed is at first with 2 outs in the Boston second.
Deep in the hole, and I think the last bounce gets Fletcher back on his heels. He couldn't catch the ball coming forward. He's going away there. Couldn't get back up on top to get extra on the throw, and trying to get extra on it. Stewart made the throw high. He'll be charged with an error. His 6th error of the year.
And the batter is number 9 hitter Ed Romero. He's at second base again today. He's batting .294. Ball 1. Ed's done a fine job in his 2 starts in this series. He's chipped in with hits in both ball games. He had a double in Friday night's game, which carried over into last night. He had 2 singles and scored 2 runs ahead of the home runs by Burks last night.
Derwood Merrill in the background. He's all right. Derwood Merrill, a Texan. This ballpark. A lot of Texans on that field this afternoon.
Well, it's evened off by the fact that Palermo is a Massachusetts native behind the plate. That's hit well to left. Leach back to the wall, and he makes the catch. Second time in as many innings that Rick Leach has had to go to the wall to make a catch. And he was a little bit slow to get up that time, but he appears to be okay, and that's all for Boston in the second. After an inning and a half here at Arlington Stadium, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Rangers nothing.
He's beginning January 13th, and we'll be stopping at such tropical ports as Labadee, St. Thomas, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. For more information, call Crimson Travel at 617-742-8500. Sovereign of the Seas is of Norwegian registry.
And we have not yet been invited on that.
No, but we know where Labadee is now, and if they get lost, if we were on there, we could help them find it. That's something they may want to keep in mind. Right. Rick Leach in the lineup in the outfield today in place of Pete Incaviglia, who has a tough time with Roger Clemens, and right away, Leach has made 2 fine plays. This one obviously costing the Red Sox a run. No help for Leach there. There's no other outfield that can get close enough to him to let him know whether he's getting close. He only can use his instincts and knowing where he is on the warning track. How many steps he can take there before he crashes into that wall, comes down with it, hangs on to it, and extra bases taken away from Ed Romero, and probably a sure Red Sox run.
Well, Leach is used to the contact as the old Michigan Wolverine quarterback. He's been hit harder than that before, I'm sure. And here's Roger Clemens set to go to work in the second. Julio Franco greets him. He's been the offensive standout of this series for the Texas Rangers. His average up to .308 with 4 home runs and 23 driven in. Julio has 2 home runs in this series, one from each of the first 2 ball games. And he looks at ball 1. Franco continues to lead the American League in runs batted in with 23. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bo Jackson is second in the American League in runs batted in with 20.
Boy, his presence on that Kansas City ball club now is going to become even more important to them with the absence of Brett.
Down to third, Boggs. 1 out in the Texas second. Boston leads 1-0.
Hard for anybody to explain to me how Julio Franco can start that head of that bat in the position he does and get into a hitting position that would allow him to pull a Roger Clemens fastball or even a slider from Clemens, but he certainly can do it.
Gino Petralli at .292 with 2 runs batted in. Takes a breaking ball for strike 1. You weren't with us last night. George Brett injured his knee in Kansas City's game with the Brewers. Today he was placed on the 21-day disabled list. Luis De Los Santos was recalled from Omaha to take Brett's spot on the roster. Two and 1 the count to Petralli with 1 out and the base is empty in the second. Red Sox lead 1-0. Base hit. First hit of the ball game for the Texas Rangers. First hit for either side. As Petralli banks a 1-out single to left.
Petralli has had a little more success than most of the Rangers in their lineup today. This is his 4th hit off Clemens career-wise in 16 at-bats. Petralli also has had a homer and 3 RBI against Clemens. That's one reason they got Gino in there today. Obviously the left-hand bat and some success against Clemens.
Have to admire Gino Petralli. Catches Huff, catches Ryan, and still get up there and hit it.
And a long weekend, too.
Rick Leach looks at a ball. He's in left field this afternoon, and he's made his presence known out there already with 2 fine catches up against the wall. He started as the DH in each of the first 2 ball games of this series. Leach is hitting .333 in his first year with the Rangers with 5 runs driven in. Outfield shades toward left for the left swinging Leach, who fouls it off for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Some people may be saying, well, Monty, how can 3 for 15 or 4 for 16 be much success against Clemens? Talking about Petralli. Well, Franco's 5 for 28. Sierra 5 for 20. Sundberg, the best against Clemens in his career, 5 for 15. So 4 for 16 is not all that bad when you look at the rest of those numbers.
And Pete Incaviglia, who's not in the lineup, 0 for 7 lifetime against Clemens with 7 strikeouts.
Right.
He and Corey Snyder can compare notes on Mr. Clemens. And Romero gloves it on the grass and throws out Leach. Fine play by Ed Romero as he fielded the soft one-hop line drive on the outfield grass and threw out Leach with a second out of the inning. On the play, Petrali moves into scoring position at second base.
Put a little more importance on this play. Remember now, that's setting a double play depth, so Romero's drawing in a little bit. He's got a long way to go to get this ball. It was not hit hard, and it took the kind of bounce that allowed Romero to stay pretty much straight up without having to bend over, so that way he could make the turn and throw Leach out. Fine play.
So the Rangers have their first runner in scoring position with Petrali at second and 2 outs here in the second for Steve Buechele. The Ranger third baseman is hitting .253, 2 home runs, and 12 driven in. Breaking ball missed outside, ball 1. Buechele really struggled at the start of this series. He was 0 for his first 7 with 5 strikeouts. But he had base hits in each of his final 2 at-bats in last night's regularly scheduled ball game. Just a bit inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Clemens has had his way with Buechele. The one-on-one matchup between these two in the major leagues. Buechele is just 1 for 14 lifetime against Roger. Red Sox lead 1-0. And Clemens blew it by Buechele. 2 balls and a strike. Petrali at second. 2 outs in the bottom of the second. And Buechele steps out. Buechele tried to hold up, but it was much too late. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You have to respect the fastball of both these right-handers, and you have to have your thought process so far in front to try to catch up to the fastball. Once you start your swing, just about impossible to start it. That's what makes that breaking ball so important, to be able to get it over.
Buechele has been driving in runs at a regular rate lately for Texas. He has 7 runs batted in his last 6 games. And he's up there with Petrali in scoring position at second base and 2 outs in the second. Again, the 2-2 pitch. Hit him. Looked like it got him on the left arm around the elbow. Buechele not in any obvious pain as he went down to first base, and now both Ryan and Clemens have hit a batter.
Looked like it ran down his arm. May have started up high and then wound up down around the wrist. Yeah, kind of maybe in the forearm, halfway between the elbow and the wrist, but more of a glancing type blow. It hurt, even though it is a glancing type blow. Let's check it right there. Yeah, maybe just above the wrist. Whew. You hear it smack.
Well, it's sort of become the thing to do. Maybe it always was that way. Don't let them know you're in pain when they hit you. Remember Don Baylor, all the times he got hit, he never even flinched. Of course, then you go back to the clubhouse probably and let out a primal scream. Jeff Stone is the DH. Bounces it to second. Romero fields it cleanly again, and the Rangers are retired. They strand 2 in the second. And after 2 here in Arlington, Texas, Roger Clemens and the Red Sox lead 1-0. It's presented by the authority of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38, and it's intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Boston Red Sox and TV 38 is prohibited.
Leading off for the Red Sox,
little coaching talk going on in the Red Sox dugout. Bumry talking to Kutcher about possibly some of his outfield positioning, maybe outfield play. And then Joe Morgan a little later on was demonstrating about how Burke's turn to get out of the way of that Ryan fastball, which was a very late turn. It looked, as we looked at it a couple of extra times, as if Burks did not see that ball right away. It looked like it was almost going to hit him in the face.
Wade Boggs, the batter, he walked his first time up. This time he's in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes.
Really, the proper way to get out of the way of a pitch that's coming in that area is to turn your back and the back of your head to the pitch. And you're going to get hit. It's still going to hurt.
Boggs gone on 3 pitches. And Wade's struggle continues. That's the second strikeout for Ryan. And Boggs is now 7 for his last 40.
Wade was the most vocal of all the Red Sox batters concerning this background here today. He said he had a miserable time seeing the ball last night, even off Charlie Huff. He went as far as to say as he thought he would even file a grievance with the league about the permitting of people to sit in that section out in center field. He felt it was very dangerous.
Danny Heath, the batter, takes that breaking ball for a strike. Heath has scored the only run of the game. He reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning. He moved along to second when Burks was hit by a pitch. Went to third on a ground out by Greenwell and scored on a wild pitch thrown by Ryan. The Red Sox do not have a hit in this game. They lead 1-0, and there's the background. They do have a couple of rows that are covered.
Red Sox players are telling me this is much worse here than it is in Fenway, because this is a little bit lower.
The 0-2 to Heath. He fouled it away and out of play down the left field line. Of course, hitters in the past have complained about Fenway as well, and the Texas Rangers a couple of years ago, Don Slott, who was hit in the face by Oil Can Boyd, and Slott said he never saw the ball coming out of the background at Fenway. Outside.
Hard to judge which would be worse. When Nolan Ryan worked for the California Angels, he seemed to always draw the Sunday start. And the California Angels, in Ryan's and Tanana's days out there, they played their Sunday games at 6 o'clock. And before the stadium was enclosed, they had like a cheesecloth, dark green background, but you could see the light came right through it.
Strike 3. Another breaking ball. That got Heath. 3 strikeouts now for Ryan, 2 in a row. The K's out in earnest on the outfield seats. And Heath is the second out of the third inning with Boston leading 1-0.
Ryan's starting to set the pace now a little bit with that breaking ball and getting it over. A couple of strikeouts back to back here. One call on Boggs with the breaking ball. That one Heath chasing it down and out of the strike zone.
2 outs and the bases empty for Randy Kutcher, who's up for the first time in the series. Ball 1.
That background in Anaheim got Nolan Ryan 19 strikeouts one day against the Red Sox. The only hit he gave up was a Yastrzemski single in the very first inning.
That was in 1974. That's been one of the few successes for Nolan Ryan while he was in the American League against the Red Sox. He is 6-13 lifetime against Boston, 22 career starts against the Red Sox. Kutcher's way out ahead. 3 balls and no strikes. If you're just tuning in, Randy Kutcher is in the ball game because Ellis Burks was hit by a pitch, his left ear flap in the first inning. He appeared to be dazed, went to the dugout, has remained there. He's not gone to the clubhouse or left the ballpark for any further medical attention, so apparently he's going to be okay. 3-1 now to Kutcher, and he fouled it away. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. This is just Randy's third at-bat of the year. He's 0 for 2. Ryan looking to strike out the side. And Kutcher hangs alive, fouling it straight back. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And he's taking some pretty good swings at the Ryan offerings. Ryan, in his last start against the Blue Jays in that near no-hitter, had the fastball and the curveball working.
And he just missed. A little bit low and outside. And Kutcher's aboard with 2 outs in the third by way of the second walk issued by Nolan Ryan.
Left fielder Mike Greenwell.
Here's Mike Greenwell. He bounced to second his first time up. He's 0 for his last 11 now. Red Sox lead 1-0. 1 run, no hits, no errors for Boston. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error for Texas, and strike 1 to Greenwell. Mike's next home run will be the 50th of his major league career. Ground again to second. Franco surrounded it, and Greenwell is still hitless. That's all for Boston. And after 2.5, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Rangers nothing. As we go to the bottom of the third, let's pause for station identification. This is the TV 38 Red Sox Network.
WLBZ Channel 2 Bangor, W57AQ Channel 57 Calais, and W04AK Channel 4 Waterville.
His first pitch of the third to Cecil Espy is ball 1. Espy, the leadoff batter. He struck out on the called third strike his first time up. That's the only strikeout for Roger Clemens, as he's gone through the Ranger order once without yielding a run. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cecil Espy. That ball on the radar gun downstairs clocked at 92 miles per hour.
Cost you a lot of money on 128, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Sure would. In this day and age of the ever-increasing fines, of course, neither one of us would know anything about something like that. Ball and 2 strikes to Espy. We should figure that. I don't know exactly what the sliding scale is, but it's something like...
It's expensive.
Yeah,
Let's put it that
92
way.
would get you up in a couple of $100 range, I think.
It's expensive.
Maybe we can have Leo White back in the studio, our crack statistician, find out what that would be. Espy just got a piece of it. Gedman couldn't hang on. That was 93 miles an hour on the gun.
What you'd really like to have is the new type of gun they have out today that gives you 2 readings, 1 out of the pitcher's hand and 1 when the ball is at the plate. That's how you can really tell the force.
1-2 pitch took something off it, and Espy lines out to Boggs, who had to leap a bit to haul in the line drive off the bat of Espy. 1 out in the third inning. Boston leads 1-0.
It's like a split-fingered fastball with the off-speed pitch to Espy. Boy, he jumps right on it. And Rich Gedman trying to help Boggs get off the ground. There he goes. Up, up, up. Got it. All right. Well, I'll tell you, those catchers, you get those fast guys on base, you start thinking you're pulling for every one of those fielders to get one, especially a guy like Espy with his 13th steal.
Well, Richie might have been thinking, too, after we've gotten several fastballs past Mr. Espy, when we came with the breaking ball, we're leaving ourselves open to be second-guessed, so please catch it, Mr. Boggs. Fletcher is 0 for 1. The ball 1 pitch to him was 94 miles per hour. That had to be in the same neighborhood. 2-0 to Fletcher. He flied to right his first time up.
That's a normal register on most of the radar guns. The fastball up in the strike zone, or even up and out of the strike zone, you'll get a much higher reading than you will on the not a much higher reading, but a higher reading than you will on the fastball that's down mid-thigh to mid-shin.
That sounded like it broke his bat. Fletcher is still up there. 94 miles per hour again. 2-1 the count.
That's usually about the temperature around here this time of year, but not so the case today.
Very pleasant day here at Arlington Stadium. 80 degrees at the moment. Not much of a breeze to speak of. Another breaking ball hit to short. Reed. 2 outs. You're just tuning in. The only run of the ball game scored in the first inning. Wade Boggs led off with a walk. He was erased as Danny Heath reached on the fielder's choice. Ellis Burke was hit with a pitch in the helmet and had to leave the game. Heath went down to second. Greenwell advanced Heath to third with a ground out to the right side, and then Heath scored when Nolan Ryan uncorked a wild pitch. Here's Palmeiro. Ball one low. Palmeiro drew the only walk issued by Clemens thus far. That came with 2 outs in the first. A ball and a strike.
Good split-fingered fastball there from Clemens.
And the 1-2 pitch. Hit to second. And the Rangers go in order in the third. Baseball. As advertised, we have a pitcher's duel underway through 3 innings. The Red Sox lead 1-0. And Jim Rice gets the Boston started in the 4th against Nolan Ryan. Takes ball 1. Low and away. That pitch from Nolan Ryan clocked at 93 miles per hour. Rice took Ryan to the wall and left, and Rick Leach made the catch up against the wall in the first inning. Jim has not had much success in his career against Ryan. He is now 5 for 35 lifetime. That's a swing. Flamboyantly indicated, as always, by Mr. Palermo behind the plate. But Palermo and Merrill in this crew, you have 2 of the more flamboyant umpires working in baseball today. One-two pitch is fouled out of play to the first base side.
Saw the graphic a couple of innings ago about the number of years with 200 or more strikeouts in Ryan's career. 181 times in his career. Before this year, he struck out 10 or more in a game. And he's sitting on 3 so far this afternoon. The all-time strikeout leader.
He's had 10 or more strikeouts twice this year. He had 15 in a game at Milwaukee on April 12th, and 12 at Toronto in his last outing. He missed inside with that one to Rice. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That hit Rice. And it hit him with 94 miles per hour on it. Second Red Sox batter to be hit by Ryan. Clemens has hit 1 Ranger. And we're only in the top of the 4th inning.
They've got Rice on the outside of that left elbow. That's the elbow that he had the problem with a couple years ago. Got hit on it twice in a span of 3 days. I believe Mitch Williams got him right here in Texas on a night game, and then he went right to Oakland, and the big right-hander hit him.
Plunk?
No, not Plunk. I can see the guy, and I can't think of his name. From the Dominican Republic, with the Houston Astros for the biggest part of his career. I'll think of it in a second.
Okay.
Maybe I won't.
I'd like to help you, but I'm having a brain cramp at the moment. 2-0 the count to Osaski, who struck out swinging his first time up. And now Petralli out to the mound to talk to Ryan. The Red Sox lead 1-0 as they bat the top of the 4th. Nobody out and Rice at first. The American League this afternoon, the Yankees lead Chicago 5-2. They're in the top of the 9th inning at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees looking for their 4th straight win. John Candelaria is on the mound and pitching well again for New York. Minnesota Twins at home again today, hosting Cleveland. The Twins trying to end a 7-game losing streak. And at the moment they lead 2-1. They're in the top of the 8th inning at the Metrodome. The 2-0 pitch to Osaski. Got away from Petralli. And down to second goes Rice. Osaski swung at it and missed completely. It popped out of the glove of Petralli and went back of him. And Rice is down to second. And imagine that would be scored a pass ball as it just popped out of the glove of Gino Petralli.
Kind of a sailing fastball. You saw Petralli had the glove where he thought that ball was going to be, and movement to Petralli's right. Had to get off the mitt. Joaquin Andujar was that big right-hander I was trying to think of.
Couldn't catch up to it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That one clocked at 93 miles per hour. So as you would expect, both Ryan and Clemens have been clocked consistently in the 90s here this afternoon. Red Sox still looking for their first hit. The 2-2 pitch. Strike 3. Osaski is gone, swinging for the second time, and that's 4 strikeouts in the ball game now for Major League Baseball all-time strikeout leader Nolan Ryan. He now has 4,817 career Ks.
Even as late as the last couple of years, and I'm talking about maybe 2 years ago, 86, Nolan Ryan would at times jump that radar gun up to about 99 and 100. So he really hasn't lost an awful lot after he turned 40 in his career, has he, as far as velocity is concerned? Tremendous. Almost unbelievable, really, when you think about the number of throws that he has made. And he has had a lot of leg problems, which tells you that he does use his legs. And, of course, the legs are the thing that he must really continue to take care of to allow him to keep that kind of velocity that he has.
Drives off the mound. A couple of breaking balls to Gedman.
All those Met pitchers, we were talking about this a bit on Friday night, those 3, Koosman, Seaver, and Ryan. For some reason, I don't know if someone coached them along in the Mets organization and taught them that kind of leg drive. I rather think that they didn't. I think it was something that they were just blessed with, other than obviously strong arms and the ability to throw a baseball. But those 3 come to mind as much as anybody, probably the best users of their legs of anybody who ever pitched.
The 0-2 to Gedman, fouled straight back. 1 out. We're in the top of the 4th. Jim Rice is at second base. The Red Sox lead 1-0, although they do not have a hit yet against Nolan Ryan.
You can almost see the muscles ripple in there. The right leg that's on the rubber, see where it goes. He gets the right knee bent. That puts him in a good pushing and driving motion to deliver to the plate, and it takes far less strain off the arm.
Strike 3. Gedman swung at a pitch out of the strike zone. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ryan. He now has 5 in the ball game. 2 outs in the 4th, and Rice is still at second.
Shortstop, Jody.
The turnover pitch again. It has to be the off-speed pitch to get that kind of movement on it. Once again, as a hitter, you have to protect against the fastball, and then something that is off-speed like that obviously has you way out in front.
Jody Reed reached on a throwing error by his opposite number, Rangers shortstop Scott Fletcher. That had plenty on it, knee-high for a strike.
We're talking about the injuries to Ryan's in his career. Very few times has he had any arm problems. He did have some elbow chips removed one time. His other problems that had him on the disabled list were from blisters, from throwing so many pitches in a ball game, and of course holding the ball right on the seams, I'm sure.
Off-speed pitch, a ball. The first pitch to Jody Reed that was a strike was 94 miles per hour.
Well, you want to check on now. We've pretty well established that these guys are about 92, 93. Want to check on them again in about the 5th inning, maybe the 6th inning, and see if they have lost anything.
Another off-speed breaking ball. A ball and 2 strikes.
It's kind of interesting to see what the time is on that. If Tom Tedisco can help us, who has been giving us some of these speeds today. Be interesting to see. You see the back straightening of Jody Reed right there, and the job has been done when you see that hitter straighten up on the breaking ball. Want wonder how much difference there is in the Ryan fastball and the Ryan good sharp breaking curve.
1-2 to Reed with 2 outs and Rice at second in the 4th. He struck him out. And he strikes out the side in the 4th after hitting Rice to start the inning. 6 strikeouts now for Nolan Ryan, and Palmeiro in the ear of Jody Reed, who thought the pitch was outside, and quickly Joe Morgan comes out to keep Reed away from Palmeiro, and Steve Palmeiro, one of the well-known hot dogs and hot heads, I should say, among umpires.
There's a throw. Jody Reed had a complaint to plate umpire Steve Palmeiro. Charlie with that right shin guard about on that inside line to the left-hand batter's box.
And you saw Reed and Palmeiro exchanging words. Sierra sends it to deep center field. Kutcher on the run. Now he's there, and he has it for the first out of the Ranger 4th. Sierra is now 0 for 2 as he continues hitless in the series, but he's hit a lot of fly balls to the outfield, and that's 5 in a row retired by Roger Clemens. Here in the press box, they just made an announcement that the pitch that hit Ellis Burks hit him in the shoulder, and that Charlie Moss reports that Ellis Burks is going to be fine. Certainly looked like it got him up on the ear flap from the various replays we saw. Here's Julio Franco, who bounced to third his first time up.
I tell you, it may have hit him in both places, but I would almost bet that it hit him in the helmet.
The 1-strike pitch to Franco. That's a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Interesting trade just crossed the wire. The New York Yankees, as we look at the last pitch to Franco, and it looked like just about the same pitch that struck out Jody Reed moments ago. Franco sends it out of play, 1-2. The New York Yankees have acquired outfielder Jesse Barfield from the Toronto Blue Jays today in exchange for left-handed pitcher Al Leiter. Of course, Barfield has been struggling over the past couple of seasons with the Blue Jays. He's 29 years old. Batting .265 this season with 5 homers and 11 runs batted in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Leiter, a 23-year-old lefty, is 1-2 this year with a 6.08 ERA for the Yankees. Leiter's name has come up in a lot of trade talks, but Yankees, a team that need pitching. Of course, they need right-handed power too. Without Winfield and Clark. Reed with a nice play as that ball hopped up at the last moment. And he throws out Julio Franco for the second out of the 4th inning.
Hey, Julio Franco has not hit a ball softly in this series. This is another rocket. That ball is just exploding off his bat. He reaches out, drills it toward the middle, comes up high on Jody with a very quick up high bounce. Jody stays right with it and throws the second baseman out.
So 2 outs in the 4th. 1-0 Red Sox. Gino Petralli the hitter. 1 strike the count. What are your thoughts about that trade, Barfield for Leiter?
It's a little strange to me that the Yankees would be getting rid of pitching. I would think they would be more concerned in keeping that. And Barfield, as you mentioned, has really been struggling. An awful lot of strikeouts for the big right fielder. But the Yankees may be concerned. Maybe they know something, that the comeback of Winfield has been stretched out more, and maybe they're thinking along in the terms that changes seemingly may help Barfield, and they need some offense, certainly. They missing that big right-hand bat with Winfield out of the lineup, and Clark now gone over to San Diego, back to the National League. I saw a note about 5 days ago that the outfield combination of Barfield, Mosby, and Bell had gone about an 8-game streak and hit but 136. So Barfield probably a good part of that, because I know he had been striking out regularly.
Blue Jays have lost 6 of their last 7. The 2-2 pitch to Petralli hit in the air to the left. Greenwell with a late start. Here he comes, and he won't get to it. Reed tracks it down in shallow left, and Petralli holds up at first. He has both hits in the ball game. Rangers have 2 hits, both singles from Gino Petralli, and the Red Sox don't have a hit yet, although Boston leads 1-0.
It's a flare when you see it in person. It's a line drive when you look at it in that box score. Petralli gets that ball down around the brand of the bat. And a little flare base hit out in shallow left field.
We talked about it the other night. Mike Greenwell plays very deep left field at the opposite field for Petralli. He also had a little bit of a late start on that one. It's a strike to Rick Leach. Leach had a hit taken away from him. A nice play by Ed Romero on a soft line drive, one hopper that hit at Eddie's feet. He fielded it on the outfield grass and threw Leach out. Leach has been on the bases regularly in this series. And the count to him is 1 ball and 1 strike. Of course, Al Leiter's name had come up this weekend here in Texas. There was talk of a 3-way trade involving the Red Sox, the Mariners, and the Yankees, of course involving Boggs and Langston. All of the parties involved have denied it. Apparently Peter Gammons of Sports Illustrated was on a radio talk show the other night and indicated that the Red Sox, Yankees, and Mariners have been talking about a trade that would send Boggs to the Yankees, Langston to the Red Sox, Leiter and a couple of other people going out to Seattle. And it has not materialized. And Leiter certainly won't be involved in that kind of a trade now, but he is a Toronto Blue Jay. The Blue Jays with still another left-hander.
Left-hander, yeah. One of their left-handers, I believe Cerruti is pitching today.
Yes, he is.
One thing, well, I don't know why they would necessarily had to have replaced Musselman, who had been in their starting rotation and then removed before going on the disabled list. I don't know that they really needed to replace him with the left-hander.
That's high, 3-2. Musselman isn't expected to be gone that long. He, as you might have read, has gone into an alcohol rehabilitation program. John Cerruti pitching for the Blue Jays today in California. That ball game just underway. Toronto did not score in the top of the first inning against Mike Witt. The Angels now batting against Cerruti. California's won 4 in a row, while Toronto has lost 6 of 7. Here it's a full count to Rick Leach with 2 outs. Petralli at first. Petralli will be on the move with this pitch. The Red Sox lead 1-0 as Texas bats in the bottom of the 4th inning. Steve Buechele is on deck. And that's ball 4.
Clemens possibly with the thought in the back of his mind, looked like that was some off-speed pitch there to Leach. Realizing that Buechele was the on-deck batter, and with the 2 outs, want to give a ball to Leach that he could possibly really turn on and drive. Take his chances with Buechele, who he really had on the ropes his first time up and wound up losing him because he hit him with a pitch.
And now Clemens steps off. Rangers with 2 on and 2 out. Petralli at second, Leach at first. Joe Morgan's club trying to take 2 out of 3 in this weekend series with the Rangers, who currently occupy first place in the American League West. There's a strike. Rangers have already assured themselves not only of their best month of April in their history, but of their best month at any time in their history, no matter what they do today. Oh, and 2 now to Buechele. Texas is 17-5. That's a .773 winning percentage. Excuse me, 16-5. 17-5 or 16-6 will be good enough for the best winning percentage for a single month in club history. Buechele hits it on the ground to short, and a close play at second, but they get the force on Leach, and that ends the inning. Rangers
Leach for the force play at second. just that close, and we're talking about maybe a foot at the most.
And it's Ed Romero who steps in to lead it off in the 5th inning against Nolan Ryan. He's coming off 3 straight strikeouts in the 4th inning. Strike 1 to Romero. He sent Rick Leach to the wall with a fly ball to left field in the 2nd. Leach made a nice catch up against the fence, running into the fence to take a hit away from Eddie. Red Sox lead 1-0. The breaking ball stayed inside. A ball and a strike. Red Sox began the day in a 4-way tie for first place in the American League East. Outside 2-1. Yankees, Baltimore, Milwaukee, and Boston all tied for first at the start of the day. New York and Baltimore rather at 11 and 12. Milwaukee at Boston 10 and 11. The Yankees have won. Their ball game is now over. They defeat Chicago 5-2. So for the moment, they're alone in first place with a .500 record of 12 and 12. Milwaukee is playing at Kansas City again this afternoon, and Kansas City leads 2-0 in the top of the 8th inning as Bannister is pitching the shutout. Franco to Palmeiro as they retire Ed Romero. 1 out in the 5th. Boston leads 1-0.
Wade Boggs.
Baltimore plays later on at Seattle. In that ball game, it'll be Jeff Ballard against Scott Bankhead. Ballard off to a great start, 4-0 for the Orioles. Bankhead's 1-2. Wade Boggs takes a ball outside. He walked in the 1st and struck out on 3 pitches on a called 3rd strike in the 3rd inning. He is 7 for his last 40. Chopped off the plate toward Franco. Franco has to hurry, and he gets it over there in time to get Wade Boggs.
Kind of play the second baseman's nightmare. They have to come charging so hard. It's hard for them to get themselves in position and under control to get the throw onto the first baseman. What Franco does, he'll just shovel it on over to Palmeiro, make the play easily. So many times those second basemen charging that ball hard have to throw across their body, and when you do that, usually the throw is a little bit too hard for the short amount of distance you have to throw, and you handcuff the first baseman.
Danny Heath looks at a ball. He scored the only run of the ball game. He reached on a fielder's choice and wound up scoring in the 1st. Loops it to right field, and the Red Sox have their first hit. Danny Heath with a single to right with 2 outs in the 5th. And Nolan Ryan no-hit the Red Sox for 4 2/3 innings today, but he won't flirt with it spectacularly as he has a couple of times this year, including in his last outing when he took a no-hitter into the 9th a week ago in Toronto.
Heath right on top of seemed to be some type of off-speed pitch from Ryan. Could have been the changeup. It had a little movement, downward movement. Ryan says he never really thinks about a no-hitter until he gets to the 7th inning, and then he starts thinking along no-hitter terms, because he said he's had too many no-hitters that have gotten broken up around the middle of the ball game, or in one instance against the Red Sox, the very first inning.
Yep, don't have much time to think about it when they get a hit in the 1st. Ryan has fallen behind Randy Kutcher, 2 balls and no strikes. Kutcher walked in his first at bat against Ryan in the 3rd inning. Ryan hit Ellis Burks in the 1st, knocking Burks out of the ball game. Looked like the pitch hit Burks on the left ear flap. The report in the press box was that it hit him in the shoulder, and he's going to be fine. Kutcher at the plate with 2 outs. Heath at first. The top of the 5th, 1-0 Boston. And that's outside.
A couple of quotes about Ryan after no-hitters. After his first one in May of 1973, he said, "I never felt that I was the type of pitcher to throw a no-hitter." Then in July of 73, when he threw his second one, he says, "I honestly believe it'll be easier for me to strike out 20 than it will be to pitch another no-hitter." Well, he's had 3 more no-hitters, and he's never struck out 20.
Has had 19. Of course, Roger Clemens has the record of 20 as Kutcher draws the walk. Roger Clemens' 20 strikeout game
Left fielder Mike
was
Greenwell.
3 years ago last night when he fanned 20 Seattle Mariners at Fenway Park on April 29th, 1986. The walk to Kutcher, the third issued by Ryan. The second has gone to Randy Kutcher. And the Red Sox have runners at first and second with 2 outs in the 5th. And Mike Greenwell is ready to stand in against Ryan. Mike has twice bounced to second in the ball game. He is 0 for his last 12, hitless in the series.
He needs a personality hit right here, I think. He needs to find some open ground somewhere.
Straight back for strike 1. Minnesota Twins have ended their 7-game losing streak. They beat Cleveland this afternoon at the Metrodome 2-1. The other final score in the American League, New York 5, Chicago 2. Detroit and Oakland are scoreless in the top of the 2nd at Oakland. It's Frank Tanana against Storm Davis. Kansas City continues to lead Milwaukee 2-0 in the top of the 8th at Kansas City. Bannister and Birkbeck, the pitchers in that one. That's outside. A ball and a strike to Greenwell. And Toronto and California underway at Anaheim. No score in the bottom of the 1st inning. Here in Arlington, Texas, the Red Sox with 1 run, 1 hit, no errors. Texas, no runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. Boston with a chance for more here in the 5th. 2 on and 2 outs. Nolan Ryan's 1-1 pitch to Greenwell. High and away, 2 balls and 1 strike. And Bobby Valentine is coming out to the mound. And Nolan Ryan might be having some sort of an injury problem, maybe with a blister, because Valentine took Palermo along to the mound with him. And if Ryan is injured, of course, and has to leave the ball game, the next pitcher would have as much time as he wanted to warm up. And now Palermo is saying something to the Red Sox dugout, so perhaps he's indicating that this won't count as an official trip to the mound, or maybe that it will.
When he put up the index finger indicating 1, that said to me that it is a trip to the mound. Otherwise, he would kind of giving you the safe sign looking into the Red Sox dugout, meaning that it was a medical visit. I don't know why Valentine would have brought Palermo along with him. There seemed to be a smile on Valentine's face, but I think it was more of a, well, facetious smile than a smile.
The 2-1 pitch. Straight back. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Ooh. Did you get Palermo's time throw back to Nolan Ryan? That 94 coming in from Ryan, and throw back from Palermo had to be at least 85. I mean, he fired it back.
Let's watch it at regular speed. Steve can fire it, yeah.
Ooh.
Well, when you're used to seeing that ball come in so fast all day long, stationed behind home plate. Still 2-2 to Greenwell with 2 outs and 2 on in the 5th. 1-0 Boston. Loop to shallow left. Rick Leach is there. And he has it. And the Red Sox strand 2 in the 5th inning. The Red Sox have left 6 runners on base through 5 and halfway through the ball game. The Red Sox lead Nolan Ryan 1-0.
Metrodome in Minneapolis tomorrow night. Our cameras will go right along with them. He'll be Oil Can Boyd against Alan Anderson of the Twins. And then on Tuesday night, John Dobson matches up against Fred Tolliver. Both those game times at 8 o'clock. And then the Red Sox will be taking on the White Sox in Chicago. That's on Wednesday night, also at 8:30 New England time. These games over most of these stations, so check your local listing.
Sean McDonough with Bob Montgomery, our producer-director Tom Tedisco, Charlotte Spivey, Mike Neese, and Mark Murdoch assisting us in the booth here this afternoon. And enjoying exactly what we expected, a pitcher's duel between Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan. The Red Sox lead 1-0 as the Rangers come up swinging in the 5th. And ball 1 is the count to the DH Jeff Stone, the number 9 hitter. Stone, then Espy and Fletcher in the 5th. Stone bounced to second his first time up. 1 run, 1 hit for Boston. No runs, 2 hits, and an error for Texas. Stone One goes to second again. And Romero continues flawless in the field. Marty Barrett said before the ball game that he feels much better, and that he could be available today for some pinch hitting duty or to come into the field later on. He said he will definitely be in the lineup tomorrow night in Minnesota against the Twins. Cecil Espy looked at a called third strike in the first, and he lined the third baseman Boggs in the third. And he takes a ball high. There's Marty Barrett alongside Oil Can Boyd with the chart for his start tomorrow night against Alan Anderson. I think it was good to see the Twins break that losing streak. Just so they wouldn't be in a completely foul mood as the Red Sox arrive in town. Minnesota beat Cleveland today 2-1, ending a 7-game losing streak.
They have been giving up some hits and runs, have those Twins. Something like 22 runs on 25 hits coming into this weekend in the last four ball games I think they had played.
Over that 7-game losing streak, they had been outscored 48-17. Frank Viola and company gave up 15 hits in the loss to Cleveland yesterday. Talking to friends in Minneapolis today on the telephone, they said that Viola's been taking a lot of heat in the press in Minneapolis. Espy thrown out by Romero for the second out of the 5th inning. Apparently, people around the Twins feel that Viola's contract mess served to be an unsettling thing on the Minnesota Twins ball club.
Well, did you ever get a confirmation? Was he not going around on opening day? Did they not pass out a press release concerning his contract, Viola, before he pitched the opening day game there or something?
Supposedly, that's all been resolved. He agreed to terms, but it was ugly back and forth. He rejected the Twins' offer of something like $7.9 million over 3 years, and then he came back and said he'd take it, and the Twins said, no, we're not giving it to you, and then they said, okay, we will. The whole thing apparently has created some bad blood within the Minnesota Twins team and organization. That's a team that has prided itself over the last couple of seasons, during which they've been successful, on its team harmony. Twins with the win today, now 10-12. A long way out of first place. They began the day 7 games behind Texas and Oakland. Rangers and Athletics tied for first. The Rangers percentage points ahead. Ball and 2 strikes to Scott Fletcher. He's flied to right and bounced to short. He's up with 2 outs and the bases empty in the 5th. And the Red Sox lead 1-0. And 1 run came in the first without a hit. Strike 3. And Clemens continues to cruise right along. That is just his 2nd strikeout. After 5 in Arlington, Texas, it's the Red Sox 1 and the Rangers 0.
See 4 box seat tickets, special gifts, and will be permitted to go into the Red Sox dugout during batting practice. For details, see page 19 of the Red Sox official scorebook magazine, or look for the display where Milk Duds and Jolly Rancher candies are sold. Entry forms are also available at all Red Sox ticket windows and the information booth inside Fenway. And I might remind you, no purchase is necessary.
In the National League today, Philadelphia and Cincinnati are doing battle as you look at Ellis Burks, who certainly seems to be okay now. And
this in the very first inning. Well, maybe it did hit his shoulder first and then bounce into the helmet. We didn't pick that up when we originally saw it, but after, yeah, there's the glance. Yeah. Matter of fact, the ball just kind of glanced up across the helmet. It looked at first as if the ball hit him directly in that ear flap. Hurt nonetheless.
Yeah.
Both the shoulder and the head.
The way he remained hunched over and they didn't appear to be looking at his shoulder, looked like he was trying to shake out some cobwebs. It certainly looked like it hit him in the head, but that replay seemed to confirm that it did hit him in the shoulder. Jim Rice sends it straight back. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Rice 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch around the left elbow by Ryan in the 4th inning. Ryan has hit Burks, and Rice. Roger Clemens hit Buechele with a pitch back in the second. 1-2 now to Rice. The Red Sox lead 1-0 as they bat in the sixth. Rice, Saski, and Gedman the scheduled three. Ryan has given up just one hit. He's walked 3. He has struck out 6. Thrown a wild pitch, which led to the run, and he has hit 2 batters. And he strikes out Rice. 7 strikeouts now for Nolan Ryan. 1 out in the 6th.
Rice has had not a great deal of success against Ryan himself. With this strikeout here this afternoon, Rice now with 17 strikeouts in 36 official at-bats against Ryan in his career. He does have a couple of home runs and some RBI against him, but nothing even really to shout about there.
Nick Saski has gone down swinging twice, and he takes a strike. As we started to mention, Nick's former team, the Cincinnati Reds, is in action today in Philadelphia. They are in action in Philadelphia, and as a matter of fact, they have completed their action, winning the ball game by a score of 5-3. Cincinnati and the day tied with San Diego for first place in the National League West. Cincinnati 5, Philadelphia 3, a final score. And Pittsburgh mauled San Francisco at Pittsburgh this afternoon. They beat the Giants 11-1. Saski hangs alive barely. Pitch was just inside, apparently, at a ball and 2 strikes. Montreal beat Atlanta today 9-6.
That's right.
Atlanta has now lost 6 in a row. The Expos beat Derek Lilliquist today. And Saski swung at a bad ball as he strikes out for the 3rd time in the ball game. 2 outs in the 6th on back-to-back strikeouts. Ryan with 8 strikeouts now, and they're keeping count on a couple of locations around the ballpark, particularly out in the outfield.
High heater. Saski cannot lay off of it, and you can't hit it. So all you do is turn around and softly put your bat back in the rack.
Rich Gedman. Check swing. No swing, says Larry McCoy. Ball 1 to Gedman, who has flied to center, and he has struck out swinging. Ball game's underway in the National League. The Cubs lead San Diego 6-3 in the top of the 8th at Wrigley Field. That's ball 2 to Gedman. St. Louis leads Los Angeles 4-1 in the top of the 9th at St. Louis. And Houston leads the Mets 7-5 in the top of the 7th at the Astrodome. This is Nolan Ryan's 100th pitch on the way, and it's a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. And Ryan is still up in the low to mid-90s here in the 6th inning, with the Red Sox leading 1-0. Popped up, straight back and out of play.
Nolan Ryan with a 9.45 career average in strikeouts per 9 innings. He and Sandy Koufax, the only 2 pitchers in history with 1,500 or more innings pitched to have averaged that.
Tried to get the outside corner with the breaking ball. It stayed just outside. Fans didn't think so. And it's a full count now to Rich Gedman.
Tried to drop the curve on the outside corner and just around the outer edge.
Ryan trying to strike out the side, and he does. Gedman missed the pitch. Petralli applied the tag, and Nolan Ryan strikes out the side for the 2nd time in the ball game. He now has 9 strikeouts. We go to the bottom of the 6th in Arlington, Texas. The Red Sox lead the IBM student pennant race. Recognizes kids who try to do their best in the classroom and who help to make their community a nicer place. By doing this, the students show that dedication in both their school and community can be fun, and it sure pays off.
Here's a look at the 2 hard-working right-handers in this game this afternoon. Both of them featuring the Express. You notice how much the similarities are. When they get to that point where they start to reach to go to the plate, you could almost put one over the other, and the image would just fall right on top. Almost perfect duplication.
Ball 1, the count to Rafael Palmeiro as he begins the Ranger 6th. Palmeiro has walked, and he has bounced to second. He's drawn one of the 2 walks issued by Clemens. He's also given up just 2 hits, and he's hit a batter. Roger has 2 strikeouts. The fielders have been doing the bulk of the work, and it's 2-0 to Palmeiro, who will be followed by Sierra and Franco. Red Sox lead 1-0. Strike. 2-1. Roger Clemens is now not allowed an earned run in 22 straight innings, covering 2+ starts against the Texas Rangers. All 3 of these starts now here at Arlington Stadium in front of his home folks. He has a lot of friends and family in the stands here today. Those folks have plenty of company in the stands. Another sellout crowd here at Arlington Stadium. And it's a full count to Rafael Palmeiro as he leads off the 6th. Clemens, of course, coming off a shutout in his last start, a 3-hitter over Chicago. 11-0, and there's strike 3. A called 3rd strike. Rare that Palmeiro strikes out, as we pointed out a couple of times in this series. That's back-to-back strikeouts for Clemens, who also fanned Fletcher, ending the 5th, and it's his 3rd strikeout in the ball game.
Second time in this series he's been caught looking at that particular pitch. That ball there, the whole width of the ball, and maybe more to the inside of the corner. Wes Gardner got him last night looking at one that just burned the corner in there.
Ruben Sierra is twice flied out. He hits it on the ground to first. To Saski. As usual, fielding it cleanly for the 2nd out of the 6th. One of the things I think that's so impressive and perhaps not that noticeable about Nick Saski is that he never looks awkward fielding a ball. No matter if it's a routine play, a difficult play, he always seems to be in the proper position and handle it with ease. And he continues to be a flawless fielder for the Red Sox. Now apparently Franco wants Palermo to look at the baseball. That seemed to get Roger a bit ticked off, as he was reluctant to give Palermo the ball, and then he flipped the rosin bag, which is now halfway out towards shortstop, and Palermo's going to make Roger go pick it up.
Franco did this to Gardner last night when the rosin bag was near the top of the mound. He asked that Gardner take it and put it off the back, and it should be back there. Maybe Franco somewhere in his career hit a ball up the middle, hit the rosin bag, and didn't get a hit out of it or something. Maybe he's just trying to rile Roger. I think he did, though.
Yes, he did.
If he was trying.
Roger flipped that rosin bag away in disgust. This time he's a bit more gentle with it. 1 ball to count to Franco, who's bounced out twice. He's hit the ball sharply both times. Red Sox lead 1-0. 2 outs and the bases empty in the Rangers 6th. In the air and out of play, first base side. The only run of the ball game came in the 1st inning. Wade Boggs led off by drawing a walk from Nolan Ryan. Danny Heath erased Boggs at second as Heath reached on a fielder's choice. Ellis Burks was hit by a pitch. He went to second. He went to third on a ground out by Greenwell and scored when Nolan Ryan unleashed a wild pitch. In the air down the right field line. Danny Heath in foul territory in the corner, and he makes the catch. Right up against the rail, Danny Heath in foul ground with the catch. That ends the inning. Roger Clemens has now retired 7 in a row. Nice play by Heath to end the inning. We go to the 7th. It's the Red Sox 1 and the
plate to the outside, fouls this one down the right field line, and a tough chance, a very tough chance for Danny Heath, but he stays right with it. Noticed him checking himself as he got along that warning track, and Franco upset. That's the softest ball I think he's hit in this series.
On to the 7th, 1-0 Boston. And Jody Reed takes an off-speed pitch from Nolan Ryan for ball 1. Reed is 0 for 2. He reached on a throwing error by Scott Fletcher, the Rangers shortstop, in the 2nd. And he looked at a called 3rd strike and a disputed pitch in the 4th inning. And he fouled that one straight back and out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ryan has now thrown 105 pitches. Roger Clemens, through 6 innings, has thrown 86 pitches, which is not a lot by Roger's standards. He frequently goes up into the 130s, 140s in a ball game.
Difference in your strikeouts, though, 9-3 right there would more than cover the difference in those pitches, I think.
In the dirt, 2-1. Ryan's next strikeout in this ball game will be his 10th. He has had 183 games of 10 strikeouts or more in his career. That's a major league record. He struck out the side last inning. Check swing pop up toward the Ranger dugout. That will go out of play. 2 rows deep.
I gave you the numbers about he and Koufax a moment ago. The only 2 pitchers to average a strikeout an inning in their careers with 1,500 or more innings pitched. Ryan also in 1987 had a ratio of 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's the highest ever recorded in a season. This is with the Astros then.
Hit well down the left field line toward the line. It's a fair ball right off the chalk, fielded by Leach in the corner. And Jody Reed is into second with a leadoff double here in the 7th. Just the second Boston hit, and Reed is now 1 for 3.
Chalked the line indeed, did Jody Reed with this one. The breaking ball, Jody stayed right on top of it, gave no ground at all, hooked it right on top of the line. Into the corner quickly goes Leach as he gives chase. A stand-up double for the Red Sox shortstop. Now they got to make something happen here. Somewhere along the line you have to make something happen. Give yourself at least 2 chances to drive that man in from third. Romero's responsibility now to get Reed to third.
See if they give him a chance to hit the ball to the right side, or if they have him bunting. He squares the bunt and fouls it off. Strike 1 to Romero.
Hey, it's hard to bunt guys who throw like Clemens and Ryan do. For one thing, they are high fastball pitchers, and that pitch awfully difficult to get on the ground. Also, it's awfully hard to swing and hit them to the right side, too. Might be a little easier, though, to pick a pitch out and hit it to the right side. Romero, a pretty good bunter. I'm sure he'll be asked to do it once again.
Ed's 0 for 2 today. Popped that bunt up and fouled it off. And Romero's behind now. No balls and 2 strikes. He has a look down to Rack's slider. See if they'll give him another chance. He hasn't come close to getting it in play yet.
Bobby Valentine had Jeff Kunkel do it the other night in that ball game after being unable to sacrifice the runners along, and was quickly 0-2 in the count.
To Romero with Reed at second. No outs in the 7th. The Red Sox lead 1-0. And Romero takes a breaking ball outside. It did not show any sign of a bunt at all there. It's a ball and 2 strikes. The Rangers have had left-hander Kenny Rogers throwing in their bullpen for the last few minutes. He got up just after the double by Reed down into the corner. One-two pitch. Same spot, low and away, 2 balls and 2 strikes. As we mentioned, Nolan Ryan, of course, the all-time strikeout leader in baseball. He's also the all-time walks leader, but he also ranks among the leaders in starts. He's 10th all-time with 649 losses. He's 13th with 254 career losses. That slap toward right field, sinking fast and in for a hit. Reed had to hold up as he had to wait to see if Sierra would catch it. Palmeiro cut off the throw. Now they'll try to run down Reed as the throw goes to Buechele. They're running Reed toward the plate. Ryan with it now. Romero is being waved to third, but Romero goes back to second. And Ed Romero might have run the Red Sox out of a big inning.
Actually, you blame it on both base runners, really. Reed has nowhere to go. He can't score on the play, and he should have been able to see the ball being cut off by Palmeiro. He should have been able to check to see where the throw was. Romero, maybe anticipating that Reed is going to get sent home, will make the turn to try to take the cutoff or take the throw away. Now, Reed's got nowhere to go there. He gets trapped up. I'll take the man at third with 1 out. Now I'm going to wind up with a guy at second and 1 out. And a little different situation for me, obviously. Somebody at home will have to count all these throws to get this rundown along with the scoring. Ed Romero had come about a third of the way over. See, Jody has to be able to see that ball being cut. When he makes that turn there, ball went to second, he gets caught in the trap, and then it goes 5, 2, 5, 1, 6.
9-3-6-5-2-5-1-6. 9-3-6-5-2-5-1-6. If you're scoring. Well, let's see if the Red Sox can still capitalize on the scoring opportunity. Romero never did make it to third. He's still at second. With Boggs at the plate with first base open, they're going to intentionally walk him. Boggs will be 0 for 2. He'll remain 0 for 2. This is the second walk, the first intentional walk. The fourth walk issued by Ryan. He was struck out 9. That'll put runners at first and second with 1 out in the top of the 7th. Red Sox lead 1-0. If Romero had just stopped after rounding first, didn't go halfway to second, when Palmeiro cut the ball off, Reed would have been able to turn around and just go back into third base, and they would have had runners at first and third.
Well, you blame both of them.
Yeah, I think Jody started to come to the plate really once he realized Romero was hung up, but maybe he just should have stayed at third and let Romero get run down. At least they'd have a runner at third and 1 out. Tough call, but no matter who's to blame, neither one of them did the job
wasn't a good play.
No.
Good job by Romero after getting quickly down in the count 0-2 to deliver the base hit. But that's where it stopped.
So Danny Heath is up. He is one of the 3 Boston hits. He had the first hit, a single to right, checks his swing and takes a breaking ball over for a called strike. Danny has scored the only run of the ball game after reaching on a fielder's choice in the first inning. Ellis Burks was hit by a pitch, moving Heath to second. Greenwell's ground out to second, moved Heath to third, and Danny scored on a Nolan Ryan wild pitch. Danny's single came with 2 outs in the 5th, the first Boston hit. And the count leveled at 1 ball and 1 strike with 1 out in the 7th. And with 2 Red Sox aboard against Nolan Ryan. Romero at second, Boggs at first. Fastball and a good one. On the inside part of the plate. A ball and 2 strikes. You could hear Ryan grunting as he delivered that pitch. He had a little something extra on that one. This would be a timely spot for Ryan to get his 10th strikeout of the game. He won't, as Heath hit it down to first. They try for the 3-6-3 and get it, and that's even better than the strikeout. A 3-6-3 double play, and what looked like a promising inning for the Red Sox goes by the boards without a run crossing the plate. 7th inning stretch at a sold-out Arlington Stadium, and the Red Sox lead 1-0.
Some slick fielding here by the Texas Rangers in back of Nolan Ryan. Palmeiro quickly unloads it on to Fletcher at short. He'll unload it right back to Palmeiro covering, and they double up Danny Heath down that line 3-6-3. And the Red Sox base running in that inning probably cost them a run without a doubt. Certainly they would have had to have played things a lot differently. If Fletcher ever touched the bag, that's when those ghost plays in it. You just get near the bag. I don't think his feet ever touched it.
Heath departs after grounding out. Red Sox go for defense with Dwight Evans in right field as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Red Sox trying to protect the 1-0 lead. Roger Clemens has shut out the Rangers on 2 hits through 6. And his 86th pitch of the ball game. 87th pitch of the ball game. Ball 1 to Gino Petralli, who has both Ranger hits with a pair of singles to left. Petralli, then Leach and Buechele, batters 6, 7, and 8 in the Ranger order. 1 ball and 1 strike. Clemens has retired 7 in a row as he goes to work here in the 7th. He's walked 2, struck out 3, and he has hit a batter. Good breaking ball over again. A ball and 2 strikes. Yankees beat Chicago today 5-2. Kansas City shut out the Brewers 2-0. A combined 3-hitter for Bannister and Farr. And strike 3 for Gino Petralli. He's retired for the first time in the ball game. 4 strikeouts now for Clemens, but they're starting to come a bit more regularly as he has fanned 3 of the last 5 Ranger hitters.
Saw the Clemens clench fist. I think he's saying to get him a nice call. He got him to work with the off-speed pitch, and Petralli just froze. And, of course, sitting and expecting to get the heat somewhere. Probably the last thing he had in his mind, something off-speed with 2 strikes on it.
Ball 1 to Rick Leach. He bounced to second, retired on a nice play by Romero in the 2nd, and he walked in the 4th inning. Red Sox lead 1-0. They've out hit the Rangers 3-2. Texas has committed the game's only error, and the count leveled to Leach at 1 ball and 1 strike. Leach has a modest 4-game hit streak on the line. Slaps it out of play, a ball and 2 strikes.
We talked so many times about guarding the lines at a point you get in the ball game, and certainly the 7th inning on, in a 1-run game or a tie game, you're talking about guarding line. Boggs well off the line there, as he should be. But here's a point where Asaski, I don't think, really needs to guard the line with Leach against Clemens. He's not apt to pull that ball right down the line.
He's not apt to do anything with it as he swings and misses for strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Clemens. He's retired 9 in a row, and he has fanned 4 of the last 6 hitters. 2 outs in the 7th, 1-0 Boston.
Once again, Clemens to the off-speed pitch, the split-fingered fastball, and results the same here in the 7th, a couple of strikeouts.
Steve Buechele takes a strike. Buechele was hit by a pitch in the 2nd. Took it on the left forearm and bounced to short in the 4th. And he's quickly in the hole. No balls and 2 strikes. And Roger Clemens is looking to strike out the side for the first time this afternoon. Ryan has done it twice. Rogers closing ground in the strikeout derby between the 2 today. Ryan has 9. And Clemens is eyeing his 6th if he can fan Buechele. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball outside, a ball and 2 strikes. Detroit leads Oakland now 5-0. They're in the top of the 4th inning at Oakland. Tigers scored 5 times off Storm Davis in the top of the 2nd. The 1-2 pitch. Check swing and a roller. Tough play. Romero with a long way to go. He can't make the play. That should be scored a hit, I would imagine.
The only thing it really could be scored as. Buechele didn't mean to. Nubbed it, got it well past Clemens. And here's that tough play I spoke of earlier about the second baseman charging. That time the ball is rolling along, and a much tougher play. Romero goes to the bare hand. Roger will try to get over there to cut it off, but it's well by him. It's a do-or-die play, and Romero had it go off the bare hand. It's a base hit for Buechele.
It is a hit, and Buechele's at first with 2 outs in the 7th. Red Sox lead 1-0, and ball 1 the count to the DH Jeff Stone, who's twice bounced to second in the ball game. It's now even at 3 apiece. Red Sox with the only run in the game in the 1st. Boggs is in on the edge of the grass at 3rd. Hit well to center. Kutcher backs up and makes the catch. For a moment, it looked like he had misplayed the ball, and He had to go back a couple of steps to take the line drive off the bat of Stone. That ends the inning. We go to the 8th here in Arlington, Texas. Second largest crowd of the season at home for the Rangers. The largest crowd was last night, where they had more than 41,000. And it's the 14th largest crowd in the history of the Texas franchise at home here in Arlington. Strike one to Randy Kutcher. This 3-game series also set a record for attendance for a 3-game series here in Arlington. 116,919 fans passed through the turnstiles. Kutcher squared a bunt, saw the breaking ball coming at him, and it broke over the plate as Randy started to duck out of the way. 0-2 to Kutcher. Randy's walked twice since coming into the ball game. Ball and 2 strikes. Red Sox lead 1-0 as they bat in the 8th. Kutcher, then Greenwell and Rice. And the Rangers have double-barreled activity in their bullpen as left-hander Drew Hall and right-hander Jeff Russell have begun warming up. The 1-2 pitch outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That was 95 miles per hour, so we speculated earlier as to whether or not these gentlemen would lose velocity, and they have not. Under his chin. And that was 93 miles per hour of chin music.
Kind of interesting to work with those numbers when you know you have a couple of power guys on the mound and see just exactly what they're doing, but that velocity oftentimes won't get people out.
Foul tip into the mitt for strike 3. 10 strikeouts for Nolan Ryan. The 184th time in his career he has struck out 10 or more in a game as he adds to his own major league record in that area.
Always say to yourself as a hitter, I won't swing at any pitch that's above my belt when facing a Clemens or Ryan type pitcher, but somehow you lose the battle when it comes right down to it. It's just so hard not to chase that pitch up there.
Mike Greenwell is the hitter. He's still looking for his first hit of the series as he looks at ball 1. Red Sox lead 1-0. They have a run on 3 hits, no errors. Texas no runs, 3 hits and 1 error. Popped up, out of play. Well, we talked last night about how oftentimes ballyhooed pitching matchups never live up to their advanced billing. One of the pitchers or the other or both struggle, but not today.
Can't put this one on that list, can you?
No, indeed.
Matter of fact, I'm sitting here in the middle part of the ball game, and the score has become almost irrelevant to me watching both these right-handers work in this ball game, and we're seeing an uncharacteristic Clemens by the low number of strikeouts for him. Really, the way these 2 pitchers have worked today, it could just as well be scoreless.
Well, Ryan probably blames himself for that, as it was his wild pitch with 2 outs in the first inning that allowed the only run of the ball game to score. The Red Sox ran themselves out of a great chance to score last inning. The 2-2 to Mike Greenwell. In the air to right field. Sierra with the catch for the second out of the 8th inning.
There's a possibility, Sean, if the weather stays good here in Texas and the Red Sox don't have any changeovers, that this matchup could occur again Friday night in Boston. Both pitchers are working on 5-day rotations. So it would mean that both clubs, of course, would have to play all of their scheduled games in between. And I'm sure there would have been a couple of tee-on matchups with 1 or 2 pitchers in the American League that would have drawn the Ryan Clemens type of matchup, but I had really got to go back to 1972 when Vida Blue and Sonny Siebert hooked up in a deal of that type at Fenway. Vida Blue at that time 9-0, and I think Sonny Siebert either 8-0 or 8-1. Those records pretty close. And when it was all said and done, Rico Petrocelli had homered twice off Vida Blue, and Sonny Siebert, with some help from Bob Bowen, beat the A's in Fenway by a 2-1 score.
Ryan thought he had Rice on 3 pitches. The fastball ruled outside apparently by Steve Palermo.
Could have called him out, couldn't he? Rice doing the right thing, though. You got to take it and hope you get it called the ball because you can't hit it.
Now the 1-2 pitch. He did strike him out with high heat. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 11 in the ball game for Nolan Ryan. 3rd time this year he's been over 10 strikeouts in a game.
That might have been his best.
Top of the order for the Texas Rangers as they look to break the ice against Roger Clemens in the 8th inning. Boston leads 1-0. Cecil Espy leads off. He's 0 for 3. He is struck out, lined out, and bounced out. And he swings and misses for strike 1. Espy, then Scott Fletcher and Rafael Palmeiro against Clemens. Rangers have had just 1 base runner through the last 3 innings. That was a 2-out infield single on a check swing by Buechele last inning. Twice in this game, the Rangers have had 2 men on in an inning. They had runners at first and second with 2 outs in the second. And runners at first and second with 2 outs in the 4th. To left field, falling fast and in for a hit. So the Rangers got exactly what they were looking for. Their 4th hit off Clemens from their speedster, Cecil Espy.
Slicing base hit to left field. Espy inside outing that ball. Espy picks up his first hit of the ball game.
He's 2nd in the American League in stolen bases with Scott Fletcher at the plate. He's 0 for 3. He's flied to right, bounced to short, and has struck out. Espy has 13 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times trying to steal. Ricky Henderson leads the American League in stolen bases. He had 14 going into the ball game today with the White Sox, which the Yankees won 5-2.
I'm sure there could be a temptation for Bobby Valentine here now to maybe look at the high percentage of steals for Espy and not go the sacrifice route. Maybe give Espy a chance to steal the base and see what will happen.
Plus, he's aware that the Red Sox catchers have had trouble throwing runners out.
That's right. Plus, you look at it at the other side, though, and you say, well, I'm in the 8th inning here. I haven't been able to do an awful lot with Clemens. I might have to make sure that I get that runner to second rather than taking a chance of having him thrown out, maybe take me out of an inning and no chance.
Time called by the home plate umpire Palermo just as Clemens is starting into his windup. No pitch and still no count to Scott Fletcher. Espy at first, leading off the 8th. Red Sox lead 1-0. Texas is now hitting Boston 4-3. Espy has tied the Texas club record for steals in 1 month with 13. Accomplished previously by Dave Nelson in 1972, July of 72. Fletcher popped up a bunt. Here comes Asaski to make the catch. Big play in the ball game. A fair ball catch by Asaski on the sacrifice attempt by Fletcher. And Espy is still at first with 1 out, and certainly that increases the likelihood that he'll try to steal now.
I mentioned earlier when Romero was trying to bunt a runner over earlier back in the Red Sox 7th inning, how difficult it is to bunt the high, hard-throwing pitchers. You saw an example of it there. As a matter of fact, Romero popped one of his bunt attempts up, but foul. That went up plenty high for Asaski to get to it. Big out for the Red Sox.
And the hitter is Rafael Palmeiro. He's 0 for 2 with a walk his first time up. He struck out looking his last time up. A run on 3 hits, no errors for Boston. No runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for Texas.
Now there's a little more advantage for Espy with the left-hand hitter up there. A little more difficult for the catcher to work with the left-hand hitter. 2 things. One, it's a little hard to see the lead of the runner at first in Espy, and certainly you have to make some different arrangements by throwing. Instead of having a clear path on that right side to throw, now you have to worry about, or maybe move yourself just a bit to get out of the way of the left-hand hitter. some batters will force the catcher so deep in the box in order for the catcher to see the runner that you kind of force the umpire to lose the strike zone by forcing him deep.
Espy with the big bluff. He didn't go, and the pitch is ball 2. 2-0.
No, I wonder if that was a bluff. Certainly it looked like it was a bluff, but he had an awfully good start. I wonder if he did make his break and then quickly decide that he didn't have the kind of jump that he really felt was necessary. Those good base stealers are able to do that. Slight little slip, or maybe they missed their crossover step in their timing.
He's not even bluffing this time, and the pitch is in for a strike. 2-1 to Palmeiro with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Roger Clemens leads 1-0 as he works on a 4-hit shutout. Quick throw, and Espy's back in, hand first.
Roger can really help himself and his infielders too if he threw him there a couple more times. What you're doing is making Espy aware, but more than anything else, you have a chance to take a little spring out of the runner's leg by forcing him back to the bag.
Espy bluffed again, and it's fouled away by Palmeiro. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I don't really see the advantage of Espy making that kind of a move there, and that was definitely a bluff. I watched his initial move there. There was no slip or anything on his part.
Go to first. See if they come inside now on Palmeiro. That's where they've been able to strike him out a couple of times in this series, including his last time up in the 6th inning.
I would guess they would stay out of there now because he may be looking, and he's got that hole to hit in on the right side. I'll let him put it in play, but I prefer he put it in play to the opposite field somewhere. Double that up maybe if Espy is running, although I would not like the hit and run play here if I were in Valentine's situation. With Espy's speed, if I want to look at it from that angle and trying to get him moving, I just have him work on a straight out steal. Espy, a Palmeiro contact hitter. He line drives it someplace, you're right out of the inning.
And Roger certainly took your advice as he's had Espy diving back into that bag regularly over the last couple of seconds, and Espy's taken some time now to regroup. He's at first with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Red Sox lead 1-0. Clemens working on a 2-2 count to Rafael Palmeiro.
Clemens didn't like the location, or he didn't like the pitch selection that they had originally agreed upon. That's exactly what this whole conversation is about.
The 2-2 pitch popped up out of play. All of the games in the National League now final. Cincinnati beat Philadelphia 5-3. Chicago beat San Diego 7-3. Pittsburgh over San Francisco 11-1. St. Louis beat the Dodgers 4-3. Houston over the Mets 7-6. Montreal beat Atlanta 9-6. Espy's running, and Palmeiro fought it off.
They came inside on Palmeiro, but it's with a breaking ball that kind of says to me, I'm going to give you a chance to hit it, but if you hit it, you got to hit it foul. I don't think he can hit this pitch fair. It's just going to bury down and in on it. I think Palmeiro did the best he could do with that.
Espy called for time again and conferred with first base coach Toby Harrah. Whoa. stumbled on the bag.
Oh, he may have hurt his ankle, too.
That's how base runners can get hurt. Apparently he's fine. And he's running again. Palmeiro pulls it down the right field line toward the pole. That ball is gone. Rafael Palmeiro's third home run of the year. Runs batted in 15 and 16, and the Rangers lead 2-1. And George W. Bush, part of the group with majority ownership of the Rangers, sits right by the dugout, and he's among the sellout crowd cheering the Rangers. They're on their feet all over the park as Texas is on the board, and as Sierra goes to center. Kutcher was fooled by it for a moment. Now he makes the catch for the second out. Palmeiro battled Clemens tooth and nail, fought off some tough pitches at 2-2, and then pulled it right down the line, just fair, for his third home run of the year. And the Texas Rangers have a 2-1 lead, and now that base running a couple of innings ago in the seventh by the Red Sox really jumps out at you.
Let's see if this pitch is not in on Palmeiro. A little hard to tell there, but certainly a ball that he could pull, and boy, did he pull it right down the line, and it hit the pole. Actually hit the screen. It didn't hit the pole itself.
Julio Franco, the batter. 1 ball the count. He's 0 for 3. He's bounced out twice, and he flied out when Danny Heath made a nice play on a fly ball in foul territory to end the 6th inning. Jeff Russell is warming up in the Texas bullpen as you look at Murphy and Stanley in the Boston pen. Red Sox have Asaski, Gedman, and Reed scheduled up in the 9th against Ryan. They have the ace of their bullpen, Russell, ready if needed in the 9th inning. The 2-0 pitch on its way to Franco. Breaking ball, and a good one for a strike. Rangers now with 2 runs on 5 hits and 1 error. The Red Sox with 1 run on 3 hits and no errors. Up the middle. Reed couldn't get it. It's off his glove and out in the center field for another hit. Franco's now hit safely in 9 straight games, and he's at first with 2 outs in the 8th.
Stanley and Murphy both ready in the Red Sox bullpen. Once again, they have not had anything inside on Franco in this ball game this afternoon. They're allowing him to cover an awful lot of that plate from the middle out, and he stung one once again into center field up the middle.
Clemens is going to stay in the ball game as Morgan returns to the dugout. Franco at first with 2 outs. That's the 6th Ranger hit. Half of those hits have come in this inning, including the big one by Palmeiro. Gino Petralli has 2 of the Ranger hits. Pair of singles to left field in each of his first 2 at-bats. He looked at a called 3rd strike of the 7th.
Like Russell is really throwing and meaning business in that Texas bullpen. I'll tell you, it'd be awfully hard to take Ryan out of this ball game. We've got a time on that last strike he threw to Rice was 95. And boy, what a decision you have to make there. Of course, Russell has been doing a terrific job out of that Ranger bullpen. Only last night did Burks hit him for the 2-run homer to give up the first run that he has given up this year.
Roger Clemens had gone 24 1/3 consecutive innings without allowing an earned run in his appearances against the Texas Rangers. That string came to an end on the home run by Palmeiro. Red Sox trailed 2-1 in the 8th. The 0-2 to Petralli is outside. Ball and 2 strikes to the Ranger catcher with Rick Leach on deck. Both Clemens and Ryan well over 100 pitches now. Pitch out. Franco wasn't going anywhere. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Strike 3. McCauley caught looking. A 6th strikeout for Roger Clemens. The Rangers get on the board in style on a home run by Rafael Palmeiro. When we go to the 9th, the Saskey, Gedman, and Reed scheduled up against, it looks like, Nolan Ryan. We'll have to wait and see, however, as no, it's going to be
Palmeiro cleared it out quickly, right down the line, 330 feet from home plate. It drills into that screen. His 3rd homer of the year, and a 2-1 lead for the Rangers. And Nolan Ryan will now turn it over to Jeff Russell.
And his first pitch right under the chin of Nick Saskey. Rangers have gone for defense in the left field as Pete Incaviglia comes on to replace Rick Leach, who had a fine day out there actually defensively with 2 catches up against the wall. Saskey's glad to see Ryan out of there as he struck out all 3 times against Nolan. 1-1 the count. A Saskey, Gedman, and Reed, the scheduled 3. Russell got it by a Saskey. A ball and 2 strikes. Russell trying to earn his 4th save and preserve Nolan Ryan's 3rd win of the year. 0 for 4 with a 4 strikeout day for Nick Saskey. 1 out in the 9th.
High hard one once again. They'll go right up the ladder with a Saskey. 3 of his strikeouts I know of have at least come on that type of pitch right there. 2 of them with Ryan. And of course that one from Russell. 95 miles an hour. Going from the frying pan into the fire.
Rich Gedman, the hitter. He's 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Strike 1. That was 95 on the gun again. Sam Horn is moved into the on-deck circle. He will bat for Jody Reed. Gedman's in the hole 0-2. Red Sox have Horn, Barrett, and Cerrone left on their bench. Gedman, the lefty, up there against the right-handed Russell. Fouled it off his foot. Still 0-2 with 1 out and the bases empty in the top of the 9th, and with Texas leading 2-1. Great afternoon for Clemens until the bottom of the 8th, when Palmeiro hit one just inside the foul pole for a 2-run homer and a 2-1 Texas lead. Gedman bounces it to Franco. 2 outs. Nolan Ryan worked 8 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits. He walked 4, struck out 11, threw a wild pitch, hit 2 batters. And he's 1 out away from his 3rd victory of the year if Russell can dispose of Sam Horn, who will come up to bat for Jody Reed. Reed went 1 for 3 while he was in there. Horn is hitting 111 with 1 hit in 9 at-bats. His 1 hit was a pinch hit single against Kansas City at Royal Stadium. Sam's 1 for 3 as a pinch hitter. He has 2 runs batted in. 1 with that single, and the other run batted in he earned came with a walk with the bases loaded. They're on their feet around much of Arlington Stadium. Time called. And Russell's a bit ticked off. Strike 1. Poured right down the middle with plenty on it from Jeff Russell. Nope. Just outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bobby Valentine's club trying to finish off their best month ever in franchise history with an impressive win, and now they're 1 strike away from doing that as Russell is ahead of Horn. A ball and 2 strikes, and now just about everybody in the ballpark is on their feet. The 1-2. He struck him out and the ball game is over. Sam Horn with some words for Palermo as Russell accepts the congratulations from the Rangers. Russell retired the side in order with 2 strikeouts in the 9th to pick up his 5th save. And Mr. Bush's team had a great month of April. They go 17-5. And Rafael Palmeiro was the offensive hero and the only offense of the day for the Texas Rangers as his 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th off Roger Clemens gave the Rangers all the offense they needed for this 2-1 victory. Nolan Ryan the winner. He's 3-1. Roger Clemens the loser. He is 3-1. And we'll be back in just a moment. You're watching Red Sox baseball from Arlington Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The Rangers stranded 7 base runners. For the Boston Red Sox, 1 run on just 3 hits and no errors. The Red Sox stranded 7. Nolan Ryan the winner. He's 3-1. Jeff Russell to save his 5th. Roger Clemens the tough luck loser. He is 3-1. And the big hit of the ball game, a 2-run homer by Rafael Palmeiro in the 8th inning with Cecil Espy at first base. It came on a 2-2 pitch as Palmeiro.
Hit the high fly ball. It's deep left center field. It's way out there. It's way out there, and it is in there. I mean it's in there. There they go. Struck him out. Ball game is over. Bob Wells is tremendous pitching performance. Listen to the crowd.
Welcome to baseball's greatest game with your host, Steve Garvey. Brought to you by Major League Baseball Home Video.
The 1991 World Series, perhaps the greatest ever played. For 7 games, the Minnesota Twins and Atlanta Braves battled play for play, pitch for pitch, and thrill for unforgettable thrills.
The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
All the excitement is in the 1991 World Series, the official video. To order for $19.95, use your Visa or MasterCard and call this toll-free number. The amazing Atlanta Braves and their tomahawk chopping fans pushed the resilient Twins to the 10th inning of Game 7. Never before, maybe never again. Now you can have it forever. Just $19.95 plus $4 shipping. Call 1-800-524-1122 or send check or money order to this address. Visa or MasterCard, 1-800-524-1122.
28! Like that!
You've never heard anything like it.
You hear?
It's the video that speaks for itself.
This ain't a tennis match!
In a language that's all its own. Call this toll-free number now and find out what everyone is talking about in this fascinating video, The Hidden NFL. It's free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated, the best way to capture all the drama of sports.
This is NFL, which stands for not for long when you make them...
Hidden mics and hidden cameras let you in on the NFL secrets in this fascinating video that you'll watch again and again.
Who's in charge of replay?
Call now to subscribe or renew for a full year. 54 issues, including the swimsuit issue for $1.29 an issue. Save over 55% off the cover price. The free video and a year of SR. Great gifts for the sports fans on your Christmas list. For faster delivery, use your credit card. Call now for your free video and to enjoy all the excitement of sports every week with Sports Illustrated.
Hi, I'm Steve Garvey, and welcome to baseball's greatest games. This week, we'll watch a historic pitching performance from 1986. Roger Clemens' major league record 20 strikeouts. You know, as a kid growing up in Texas, Clemens idolized Nolan Ryan. He used to imitate his pitching motion. But in high school, Clemens was a third-string pitcher, and in college at the University of Texas, he wasn't even an All-American. He did help pitch the Longhorns to the 1983 College World Championship, but it wasn't until Clemens got to the minors that he really started to dominate. Just think, 3 years out of college, Clemens would blow past some of the game's greatest power pitchers, Ryan, Koufax, and Seaver, with a record 20 strikeouts in one game. Now to the Raging Rocket. We'll start with Clemens' first 3 innings. The announcers are Ned Martin and Bob Montgomery.